Yeah. If you need to borrow them, I have them in my office. So, okay. So today, let's see, we're recording, right? Recording on. Okay. So James and Ronald are taking this class remotely. So they aren't in class. So I'd like to apologize to you guys for saying the extra assignment and then cutting off the video. If you thought that was real, it was not real. I'm going to keep doing that. And if you keep falling for it after this, it's your own fault. Okay, just that being said, we are going to install WordPress to your server today. Yay! So, but before we do that, let's review the Choose Your Project site assignment. So again, in this class, we are not doing a client type project in this class, meaning the only reason that you need to pick a project in this class is to complete the assignments, meaning I have a set of assignments that you can clearly see down here: install, set up WordPress, template files, create your content menu system, theme from your template, main and sub menu, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, pull quotes, add a widget to your sidebar, yada, 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 so on and so forth. Okay. We are basically in this class doing a simulation. This is a, hey, look what WordPress can do, right? So what I really need from you is your own set of HTML, CSS files that then you are going to turn into a theme. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Again, let's go over this a little bit more in detail. So on Monday, what I kind of showed you was, so if we go to the Choose Your Project, we're on that page. If we go to the page that we're already on, right, you need to find and choose a website project for your assignment. I don't care if it's a photo of your dog and you're doing a website for your dog. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care how fancy the design of your site is, right? So if you ever feel like, oh my God, my site isn't fancy and Mike isn't going to like it, and I'm going to have tons of anxiety about my CSS and making it look pretty, right? I don't have any Xanax, but if I did, I'd give you some, right? Although that might be illegal if I gave you some Xanax, right? But in other words, don't worry about that kind of stuff, right? So all I care about is that you have then a project that when it gets to creating your theme from your project, or to creating your theme from your templates, right? So if I look at the repository for my demo proto site, okay, I started off with main.html, home.html, scripts, images, etc. So I do have another repository that I'm not pointing to any longer, but let's show it here on the screen. Web170 Templates. You do not need to make two separate repositories. Let me state that clearly. You do not need to make two separate repositories. Your templates, home, main, styles, if you have another CSS folder or CSS file, if you have a scripts folder, if you have an images folder, a fonts folder, right? You are going to be building your theme from this, okay? So when you upload this to GitHub, okay, you then don't have to delete it and re-upload your theme, right? You are going to be basically making your theme out of your templates, okay? So if I look at these templates, what I want you to do is then go back And if you have a project like you did in Web 200, go back and convert it to the home page in just raw HTML. No PHP includes. I repeat, no PHP includes. What did I just say?
No PHP.
One more time, everybody. Thank you. Okay. Same thing. Main. Did I just show main or home? I don't remember. But both of them. Because on your home page, this is where we're going to put a flex slider, etc. in. Right? So let's say it like this. If you just do a main template, I'm fine with that, right? And you can put in the home stuff later. But if you have a project that looks like this, oops. Again, so what I did was to create my templates, right? Let's pretend that, hey, this is my final Web 200 or my final Web 120 project, right? Where if you view it, their servers are running really slow, the faculty. So if you view it, you can go to the About page, see some text, Services, see some text, right? Portfolio, contact. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Whatever, there we go, okay? So let's say this kind of looks like your Web 120 or Web 200 final project, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I like when people answer my questions. So it was nice having Anthony in the class last quarter. He sat up front and he was my yes man. Meaning every time I asked a question like that, he would say, yes. Okay, so Jonathan?
Yes.
Right, you're my new yes man, okay? So you are then going to take this, right? So if we looked at the code for this, right? It is done using PHP includes, right? Right? Looks like what you did in 120 or 200.
Yes.
You're catching on, Jonathan.
Sorry, it was a little delayed.
No, you were, but that was about as perfect as it gets. You were even a little more enthusiastic than you needed to be. Okay. There you go. Thank you. So how do you then, so what you can do is basically take this folder, right, of your project, rename it as your templates. And then when you go and you view this page or that page, right? Would you like to translate this? Ooh, let's see how Google translates it. Each carrots and sapien. Ooh, that's neat, interesting. Bananas across the country. Oh, wow. Tomorrow at my gas bananas across the country. This reserve needed to make a pregnant employee. Okay, we should not have translated that. I'm sorry, you guys. But if we view page source, but that is pretty funny. Select all, copy, new file, paste. There's your template for your main page. Make sense? Because what we're going to slowly but surely do then is, let's say it like this. Here's the link to the style sheet. Here's the link to the flex slider CSS. instead of downloading a naked theme, like a naked WordPress theme that has functionality built into it, that you're then putting your own HTML and CSS into it, we're going to do the better option, where we are adding the WordPress functionality into a designed proto site. Okay, so eventually what we are going to do then is wrong link. Instead of having the marked up content, right, we are eventually going to replace the marked up content with the WordPress loop, yes, which pulls, thank you, which pulls content from, I'm not actually, only when I'm asking a question, Jonathan. Appreciate the, again, I appreciate the cooperation and enthusiasm. So we're going to replace the content with the content loop that pulls the content from the text editor from whatever page you set up. As well, if we look at the header, right? This is where to access then the style sheet for our regular style sheet, we are going to use a WordPress function to get that style sheet. If we need to get another style sheet, we're going to use a WordPress function that digs into our theme folder. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good. See? So, yeah. How can you follow me on GitHub? Well, there I am. Is that the answer you're looking for? So let's do it like this. So if you are on the assignment, choose your project site. Hold, Jonathan, hold on. Choose your project site. Gloria, look back up here. Back up here, guys.
Okay.
Back,
Okay, got it.
back up here.
She wasn't signed in.
No.
Oh, she wasn't signed in.
Now I want to know.
Okay, I'm going to sign in actually. Oh, not how to see my GitHub, how to, oh, okay. Okay. All right, so does that make sense of what we're going to do? There you go, Jonathan, great. So if we are looking at then, unfortunately, I can't make the screen any bigger right here, you guys, without having to do the what? Yeah, if I, oh, yeah, but then that's going to magnify everything. I only want this one screen right here to be a little bit bigger. So if anybody can figure out how to make, you know how you can do this? It's like a 3D movie.
Is that the FTP mic that you can't, or that Dreamweaver?
Correct. It's the FTP window. It's the site manager in Dreamweaver. Google Magnify Site Manager in Dreamweaver for me. Ellie.
Okay.
Ellie is the TA. Let Ellie do it, Jonathan, not you. So what we're going to do, so what I want to do, Ellie, is remember when we were talking about how do I magnify this right here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do, what you can see here is on my web170.premiumdw.com. Again, if I go to choose your project site assignment, and I go to the example Web170 here. Here's Ruth smiling. Hi, Ruth. How are you doing? Okay. What I have linked to is all of my demo proto-sites and repositories. Okay. So I started picking this class back up spring 2015, taught it spring 2016, 2 sections in 2017. Now it's summer 2017. So each one of these right here is a separate WordPress install. Okay. So it then goes to the demo. No, I'm not going to translate. Again, we saw it happen last time. Somebody got pregnant. It's bad. So here is the folder for my Spring 17 section 2. Okay. If I look at my server here, you can see that here's my original demo. Here is the Spring 15. Here is the Spring 16. Here's Spring 17.1, Spring 17.02. Each one of these contains WordPress core. What's the first rule of WordPress core, Jonathan?
Don't with WordPress core.
Correct. Thank you for, what you have to do is you have to actually say, you have to mouth the word, but not say the word out loud. Okay, Gracie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So each one of these then has WordPress core, or we can say WordPress installed into its own folder on our server. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do then is step 1, download the WordPress application. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to, whoops, Ellie, make this a link to a new window or a new tab. Oh, I still haven't given you access.
Yeah.
I got to do that.
You'll do it and I'll do it today.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
You're recording, right?
Yes,
You can go to the video and find out exactly what
yes, exactly.
I'm still Googling the.
That's
I'm trying to
okay.
figure that out.
You're working. I appreciate that. You complete me, Ellie, right now. So I'm going to download WordPress 4.8. I'm going to put it into the downloads folder. And I'm going to try to show in folder. And if I can't view the Finder, there we go. I was going to say, man, don't do that to me. Downloads. Okay. So it will come in a zip folder. Let's extract it. So it extracted a WordPress folder. Okay. So this is where what I'm going to do, you can leave yours just called WordPress, right? Because we are going to put this folder on your server that you are going to access. Okay. If and when, if you wanted this folder right here to pretend like it was at the root of your domain, you can do that in the future. We'll talk about that in the future, right? But it is a good idea, Gracie, in the 210 class, right? Always install WordPress in its own folder. Don't install it at the root of a domain, right? Don't put all the, so I've done that in the past where I have all the files just at the root of the domain, not in its own folder. And I wish I would have just put the WordPress folder on the server, okay? Because what you can do is, if you have then multiple installs of WordPress like this, like let's say you originally did a site in 2015 and you pointed to this one to be your site at the root of your domain, right? You could do that. Then behind the scenes, you could work on a new version of the site. And when you want to launch the new version of the site, all you have to do is, let me talk about it now. Remember how I told you that I would teach you how to Google?
Yes.
Thank you. Here we go. Put WordPress in own directory. Giving WordPress its own directory. So, so let's say if your site is in a separate folder like this, what you can do is point to this folder to make it look like it's at the root of your domain. Meaning, if we're here at this website and we're cruising around through the website, it looks like it's just at the root of the domain and not in its own folder, right? Correct. It's actually in, and I'm not going to log in FTP into their server, right?
That's if you have multiple domains, right?
No.
Does it look like its own domain?
Let me answer it. See this right here? WP 2015R.
Yep.
I originally did this site in 2010. This is the second version, version 2 of the website. It acts like it's at the root of rehabwashington.com. It's in its own folder, the WordPress install. I am pointing to that folder to act like, so you see this folder when you're logged into the admin, right? But not when you are cruising through the website, okay? Only if you do this in your config file, okay? We're not going to do this in our config file. You can if you want to. I'm not going to, because I don't want it to act like it's at the root of my domain, right? Does that make sense? Okay. But what we are going to do is I am going to rename this folder, this WordPress folder. You can leave yours just named WordPress if you want, right? But I've always found that since I've been doing this, doing something like that, right? To, you know, say when I did this, you know, give it a year, give it a version, give it a whatever, right? Jonathan, uppercase S for summer or lowercase s for summer?
Lowercase.
Lowercase?
Yeah. Doing everything lowercase now in the file structure.
I am now going to place this in my Web170 folder. And if I was logged in with my own account, you would see my other WordPress files in here as well. But whatever. So now, under local files, here is my WordPress admin, or my WordPress core, with the WP admin, WP content, WP includes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Here's what I'm going to do. Do you have access to a Kinko's anywhere you live, or?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good. I have
My
more.
relatives are nearby.
Good. I have more work for you to do.
Okay.
Because I need a new color printout of these, and then I want it actually spiral bound. Oh no, I have the color printer in the office.
I got spiral bind them.
So you can, yeah. So you can come into my
There's
office
a
and
UPS store about a block
See?
from
Good.
my house, so, yeah,
see.
no problem.
Right.
Yeah, let me know after class and I can do it.
Yeah. So here is now my WordPress Summer 17. Okay. So if I now go to, so here is the one for this spring that I did, right? So now if I go to that folder, ta-da. So here's what's happening. If I continue, it's going to want a database name, a database username, a database password, and a database host. What have we not set up yet? A database. I got my notes up here. I'm trying to go more by my notebook and my lecture, step by step, because I was in my tenure meeting, somebody said, you're jumping around a lot. Okay, so here again, you can put it wherever you want to, right? But I typically, when I'm doing a project folder, I have an HTML folder as well, because a lot of times then I have Photoshop or vector files, or excuse me, raster files and vector files that then I don't want to publish, right? So I will, instead of setting this folder as my local folder, I'll set this one as my local folder. You guys can do it however you want to. But once extracted, again, you'll see all the files, right? Then upload that WordPress folder to the server like we just did, right? Then here's the thing. We can do this whole database thing one of two ways. We can rename the configure file or the configure sample file and put in our database name, database user, database password, or we can go this route. Let's go this route. But first, what we need to do is set up a database.
It's looking like there's not a way to do that without changing your.
Magnification, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only,
Sorry.
that's okay. Thanks for checking.
Yeah, no problem.
I wonder if we can check, we can set these resolutions on these monitors here to like the projector resolutions like we used to. Does anybody remember that?
Just go into settings, so. go
Yeah.
to the window.
Yeah, I'll try it later on, not right now, but yeah.
You can just change the ratio.
Good, if I wanted to right now. Why don't I?
Yeah, that's what it suggested to do, was change the
Yeah,
screen resolution.
let's see if they have it.
There were a lot of
Display.
comments about that, though.
Hold on.
That's system settings.
Yeah, hold on. Tablet mode, offline storage, display. I'll have to, advanced display settings.
No.
I'll ask Maria later. So anyhow, now I'm in DreamHost. And why they've put databases under goodies, I don't know. I just don't know. But I'm going to go to databases. I am going to go all the way down to the bottom. And for a database name, WordPress Spring 17, host name. In other words, this is where I would log in PHP My Admin. User, create a new user. Password. database name may only contain characters A through Z and the, there, that's what it is.
Can't do that.
Passwords don't match. Ooh, I know what I can do. Summer, be short. WordPress. Error. Jesus, come on. Username and database can't match. What? It's already taken. Yay. Okay. So we could open up config sample here. Stop bothering me, Emmett. Emmett, stop bothering me. We could then put our database name here, our username here, our password here. Localhost, or the way DreamHost wants to do it, is they use their own host name, that web170.premium.dw. So I'm going to instead opt to go here and say, let's go. Database name. Username. Password. Is it an underscore or a dash? Don't hack me, you guys. Instead of localhost, this is where you don't use localhost, you use that. MySQL Web170 Premium.dw.com. Yours will be whatever yours is. Table prefix. This is where if you do a one-click install and you want to be a little bit more secure, you can append more prefixy type stuff, right? In other words, I could say SU17 underscore, and now all the tables in the database will have this structure. Submit. Let's see if I got it all. All righty. Run the install. Site title. Oop. Don't hack me, you guys. Don't ruin the class for everybody. And I'm going to discourage search engines from indexing the site because it'll basically put a no follow meta tag. Install WordPress. So, you should have a WordPress install up and running now. So let's now go take a look at this file, right? So what it did was, and I don't like these colors in Dreamweaver. Give me a second. Preview browser, no. Edit preferences. Highlighting. Fonts. General. Code coloring. Theme. Cool light. I don't want that. There you go. Let's just go with classic for right now. So if I close this one right here, and I then go to my remote server, let's open this window. So on my remote server now, in that WordPress Summer 17 folder, I should see there it is, a config file. So if I open that config file, this is where I should see Is that big enough, you guys?
Yeah. Well, I can see that.
Okay. Database name, database user, database password. Don't hack me, you guys. Don't do it, Jonathan. Please. If you blow this up, I will fail you. Because I always say that I'm going to go and change this later on, and I forget to. So I'm going to go change it later on, you punk. Don't hack me.
You know it's online, right?
Yes, I do. Yes. I will fail anybody in this class that hacks me. I'll fail the whole class if anybody hacks me.
So good luck.
Okay?
Hackathon.
Yeah, so database host, right? This is where then we can also here, when we start to debug our theme and what we've done, we can change that to true. So we'll get the WordPress debug errors messages. So remember where we said, I said, by we I mean I, give WordPress its own directory. If I wanted to have this website point or act like it's at the root of my domain, this is where I would copy, not move, but copy the index file and this index file. I could copy and move it to the root of the domain. And put in the WordPress folder there. But I'm not going to do that. Okay? We went through that. Success. Log in. Take a look at your dashboard. Let's take a look at your profile now. This is where in WordPress, where am I? There it is. Dashboard. Under users, this is where I am currently an administrator now with the email, no display name at this point in time. If I ever want to call myself as the author, right, and use the author data in my postings or whatever, and we'll do that later on. This is where I can say, and display it publicly like that. I've always run into issues, or I've run into issues in some other themes if I put it in a website, but do that anyway. In one theme in particular, I ran into problems. I'm not going to get into it, but it gave me errors. I can do a new password. How many of you have ever looked at my site and wondered why you don't have an avatar when you leave comments on my website? Anybody?
Because you haven't downloaded the little thing that to do that thing again. Right? After what?
In other words, you know, if you leave a comment, how do you get an avatar there instead of no avatar? Has anybody ever seen the Don't Forget Your Gravatar link that I have on my comments section? You go get a Gravatar. Oops, now did it totally, okay, phew. You go sign up for Gravatar. That's how I do it. I got to make it fun for me, Jonathan. I can't be bored, right? All right. Let's install in WordPress. So the rest of today is lab. So this class is going to work. I would love it to be split into lecture lab days, but lecture might run over into, yeah. You know, right now, I mean, doing this doesn't really require that super amount of bandwidth. You know what I mean? How many of you have already installed it, given what we were doing just now? See? Oh, you've already taken this class.
But I didn't get very far.
All right. I really love you, Jonathan. You're my bro.
The extra credit for today?
Oh yeah.